Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel is Discerning What is True. Today is the second day of September 2023, and I'm continuing to read from a particular book called Ascension by Phil Langdon. Um, the chapter is chapter 4, and the title of the chapter is God is Thrice Great. This is Phil Langdon, who is in England, actually in London. This is his, I think this is his fourth book he's written. And it's a great book, really is. And I hope that you enjoy it. And so we'll just get to the book here and read it to you. The whole idea here is to make you aware that there's an opportunity for people who can ascend spiritually, that people can become what I call a little God, what I would call a God, that is not capitalized, but just lower nature. But anyway, what I was going to say simply is that this knowledge, as far as I know, is almost non-existence at all. Very few people know about this. So many people are telling people this, whatever they're telling people, spiritual gurus or what do you want to call them. But they're also profiting off of things. In other words, they charge people for their supposed knowledge, which is, in my opinion, a big no-no, which is a red flag, meaning it simply is that they are not telling the truth. They're just giving you some kind of information, and most people are unaware of that. So I think a lot of Phil. I think he's a good man, and I'm going to continue to share his information, and it should be free. It should. And let's get into chapter 4, okay? Again, the chapter is called God is Thrice Great. And let's meeting 3 times. If the physical, finite cosmos is the direct opposite to the singular, infinite void of the abyss, we can simply appreciate the obvious qualities of both and discover profound wisdom concerning their totality as a single whole. Since it is spirit, that is consciousness, and energy we are dealing with, we may consider their infinite/finite relationship as a painter consciousness and a painter energy and a painter and parentheses energy/matter. We can see how the painting is made by the painter and yet is not the painter themselves. We cannot scratch the surface of the painting to find the painter. In the same sense, we cannot find consciousness inherited in the cosmic material itself, even though it originates from the infinite. If we pursue the nature of truth, we discover, in the end, that it is personal and impersonal at the same time, as suggested by the concept of gnosis, which seems almost counterintuitive if we are merely scientific or intellectual about it. The opposite of mind is body, and bodies are transient phenomenon concerning the interactions of energy made from the form cosmic material. It is as if the cosmos is a lesser entity than spirit and yet comes from it directly, while allowing for conscious choice to be made at the individual level within its confines. This means spirit is both at the heart of the cosmos and at its outermost limits as the singular state of the void it is in, within the dimensionless perfection of heaven. This is a quote from the Upanishad book, verse 3:18. We should consider that in the inner world, Brahman, God is consciousness, and we should consider that in the outer world, Brahman, God is space. These are the 2 meditations. These 2 meditations become unified when the ineffable dimensionless God is understood by the meeting and merging of the spirit beyond the infinite abyss of the underworld with the cosmos in its confines. There must be a dimensionless quality that can be understood as being everywhere and nowhere in particular at the same time. We call this absolute perfection. You see, that is, absolute perfection, God in the West, as the fully aware and awake state of awareness beyond the infinite void of the underworld abyss. The singular nature of high God, or dimensionless perfection above the pineal light and its void, is expressed very well in the non-Hammadi scroll known as the Apocrypha of John, which states, the Manan is a monarchy with nothing above it. It is he who exists as God and Father of everything, the invisible one who is above everything, who exists as incorruption, which is the pure light into which no eye can look. He is the indivisible spirit of whom it is not right to think of him as a god or something similar, for he is more than a god, since there is nothing above him. For no one lords it over him, for he does not exist in something inferior to him, since everything exists in him, for it is he who establishes himself. He is eternal, since he does not need anything. So he's not dependent upon anything at all. For he is total perfection. He did not lack anything that he might be completed by it. Rather, he is always completely perfect in light. He is limited. In other words, he's not limited to anything, since there is no one prior to him to set limits to him. He is unsearchable, since there exists no one prior to him to examine him. He is immeasurable, since there was no one prior to him to measure him. He is invisible, since no one saw him. He is eternal, since he exists eternally. He is ineffable, since no one was able to comprehend him to speak about him. He is unnameable, since there is no one prior to him to give him a name. He is immeasurable light, which is pure, holy, and immaculate. He is ineffable, being perfect in incorruptibility. He is not in perfection, nor in blessedness, nor in divinity, but he is far superior. He's not corporated, nor is he incorporated. He is neither he's neither large nor is he small. There is no way to say what is his quality, or what is his quality. You see, for no one can know him. He is not someone among quote unquote other beings. Rather, he is far superior. Not that he is simply superior, but his essence does not partake in the aeons nor in time. So he's above time. He's timeless. For he who partakes in a eon was prepared beforehand. Time was not apportionate to him, since he does not receive anything from another, for it would be received on loan. For he who precedes someone does not lack that he may receive from him. Rather, it is the latter that looks expectantly at him in his light. For the perfection is majesty. He is pure, immeasurable mind. He is a aeon giving aeon. He is life giving life. He is a blessedness giving blessed one. He is knowledge giving knowledge. He is goodness giving goodness. He is mercy and redemption giving mercy. He is grace giving grace, not because he possesses it, but because he gives the immeasurable, incomprehensible light. How am I to speak with you about him? His aeon is indestructible, at rest and existing in silence, reposting and being prior to everything, for he is the head of all the aeons. And it is he who gives them strength in his goodness. For we know not the ineffable things, and we do not understand what is immeasurable, except for him who came forth from him. namely from the Father. Or it is he who told it to us alone, or it is he who looks at himself in his light which surrounds him, namely the spring of the water of life. And it is he who gives to all the aeons in any way, and who gazes upon his image which he sees in the spring of the Spirit. It is he who puts his desire in his water light, which is in the spring of the pure light water, which surrounds him. The monad in the scroll is being associated directly with plenaronium, meaning fullness or ultra perfection, beyond consciousness and matter, technically. The dimensionless unity of God beyond the all of the abyss and the cosmos below it. It is a focus in the ancient study of sacred geometry, as Robert Lawlor, spelled Lawlor, states in his book Sacred Geometry, Philosophy and Practice, published by Thames and Hudson. The notion of unity remains literally unthinkable, simply because in order for anything to exist, it must in the very positive affirmation of itself, negate that which is not. Cold is only cold because it is the negation of heat for a thing to be. An opposite must also be. There is then at the beginning of the created world a contingency of division of unity into two, with number begins. This same law governs our understanding. For in order to comprehend any objective state, we must acknowledge and negate its opposite. R.A. Swadler de Labretz says, quote, the number one is only definable through the number two. It is multiplicity which reveals unity. The intelligence of things exists only through what we may call a original fracturing and the comparison of these fractions to one another, which is then only a enumeration of the aspect of unity. Thus, unthinkable though unity may be, both reason and spiritual experience compel the traditional thinker to place it at the beginning. Everything that exists, it is in his mathematical problem or in his universe is a fraction of the unknown one, and because these parts can be related proportionally to one another, they are knowable. Skirt, spelled S-R-I-R, Robindo says, at the origin of things we are faced with an infinite containing a mass of unexplained finites, an indivisible full of endless divisions, an immutable teeming with mutations and differentiations. A cosmic paradox is at the beginning of all things. This paradox can only be explained as one, but this is an infinite oneness which can contain the hundred and the thousand and the million and the billion and the trillion. This does not mean that one is plural or can be limited or described as the sum of the many. On the contrary, it can contain the infinite many because it exceeds all limitations or descriptions by multiplicity, and it sees at the same time all limitations by finite conceptual oneness. The life divine. Again, Sacred Geometry, Philosophy and Practice by Robert Lawlor, page 20. The classical Greek period defined the reconnection with the divine as henosis, H-E-N-O-S-I-S, from Wikipedia. The classical Greek word for mystical oneness, union, or unity in Platonism, and especially in Neoplatonism, the goal of hypnosis is union with what is fundamentally in reality, the one, the source, or monad. The Neoplatonian concept has precedence in the Greek mystery religions as well as parallels in Eastern philosophy. It is further developed in the Corpus Hermeticum, in Christian theology, soteriology, and mysticism, and is an important factor in the historical development of monotheism during late antiquity. His gnosis for Plotinus, that is basically written back in, well, not written, but actually his age was defined from 204 to 205 to 270 in the Christian era, was defined in his words as a reversing of the ontological process of consciousness via meditation, brackets, meaning in the Western mind to uncontemplable, brackets, towards no thought, gnosis or demerge, and no division, dyad, within the individual being, as is specific in the writings of Plotinus on hymnology. One can reach a tabula rasa, a blank state where the individual may grasp or merge with the one. The absolute simplicity means that the nous of the person is then dissolved, completely absorbed back into the monad. Within the Enneads of Plotinus, the monad can be referred to as the good above the demerge. The monad, or Donius, meaning force, is a one singular expression. The will or the one is the good. All is contained in the monad, and the monad is all, pantheism. All division is reconciled in the one, the final stage before reaching singularity, called duality, dyad, is completely reconciled in the monad, source or one. See monotheism as the one source of substance of all things. The monad is all-encompassing, an infinite and indeterminable. All is reconciled in the donus or one. It is the demerge or second imagination that is the nous and Plotinus. It is the, excuse me a second. It is the demerge. That is creator, action, and energy, in brackets. Or nous, that perceives and therefore causes the force, that is potential or one, to manifest as energy, or the die called the material world. Gnosis as being, and perception, intellect, manifest what is called soul, or in brackets being world soul. Within the works of Lamblisk, Chalcis, from the ages from 245 to 325 AD, the one and reconciliation of division can be attained through the process of theurgy, Theurgy. By mimicking the demerge, the individual is returned to the cosmos to implement the will of the divine mind. One goes through a series of theurgy, or rituals that unite the initiative to the monad. These rituals mimic the ordering of the chaos of the universe into the material world or cosmos. They also mimic the actions of the demerge as the creator of the material world. Lambliskos used the ritual of the mystery religions to perform rituals on the individual to unite their outer and inner person. Thus, one without conflict, meaning internal or external, is united in gnosis and is the one. In the introduction to the Upanishads, Upanishads, which used the term Brahman to denote God, Juan Mascaro states that, quote, Brahman is described as immanent and transcendent, within all and outside all. If the all is imagined as a triangle, the apex might be imagined as God transcendent, who in his expansion creates matter out of himself, not out of nothing, and thus becomes immanent until the end of evolution, when the immanent has all again become transcendent in a ascension of evolution towards him. Why? For the joy of creation. continue on within the Upanishad's words saying, quote, in the beginning, all was Brahman, one and infinite. He is beyond north and south, east and west, and beyond what is above or below. He is infinity, is everywhere. In him there is neither above, nor across, nor below, and in him there is neither east or west. The Spirit Supreme is immeasurable, incomprehensible, beyond conception, never born, beyond reasoning, beyond thought. His vastness is the vastness of space. At the end of the worlds, quote, all things sleep. He alone is awake in eternity. Then from his infinite space, new words arise and awake, a universe which is vastness of thought. In the consciousness of Brahman, the universe is, and into him it returns. These quotes tells us that inside and outside the universe is the same unified infinite nature we could categorize as zero dimension in modern terms. Zero and infinity are the limits of creation that becomes one in unity again as at their opposite extremes. They are the same state or condition on each side of the difference between them, the cosmos. When we focus on the issue of unity, we find it has an inherent relationship with zero and infinity, defined mathematically as a fraction of unity, written as 1/n, where n can be any number. If the value of a n approaches infinity, we find the value of the fraction approaches zero, and vice versa. Zero and infinity have an inversive proportional relationship around unity. The closer we get to one, the more we approach the other. Yet one alone is all there is in this sense. It can be stated that zero and infinity are the same in nature as their extremes. This suggests that if we find singularity, we would also find the infinite expanse. This calls to mind the idea of reaching the top of the highest mountain there is. As you reach the singular tip that shrinks to zero size, the infinite expanse opens to you all around it. They are thus in direct relationship, as if they in all relationships, by culminating with the two extremes of absolute unity at the same point, meaning yin and yang are unified as a single whole. Notice that 1/n is also simply one. When n is one, which leads to the inevitable conclusion that the three issues of unity are one and the same issue. They form the fundamental relationship commemorated throughout esoteric history, that God is thrice great. Since the two extremes of unity are together in the same condition, they must unite with a linear development process between them that leads from one to the other over time. That process seems to be the cosmos reaching toward the ultimate goal of unity from its chaotic condition. It goes into what we call perfection being one. The three infinite states of unity are portrayed as many Renaissance paintings, such as the Supper at Emmaus from 1601 by Michelangelo Maria da Caravaggio. All four persons depicted have a visual link with each state of unity. We can see a fourth issue from the three, however, as a product of their relationship and the process they represent. I'm going to show you a picture of this. Hold on just a second here, because he has it in his book here. Okay, so let's see if you can see this. Let me turn this lamp back on and maybe I can make it a little easier for you. So what he's showing here by this artwork, by this particular guy, you're looking at, on one side here, the singularity. You're looking at the divine child. And over here, you're looking at space. And then over here, where you cannot see the face of this particular gentleman speaking, I'm sitting down, is God. Okay? So that's a way of showing you what is being shown here, okay? And what he's talking about by this artwork. The fourth condition is the divine child or son of God, the product of mankind, unity with God's spirit, consummated in the solar plexus and risen to birth in the head, the house of God, that now becomes Jerusalem, meaning abode of peace, the mind at rest. The Christ is overstood by a man wearing black, white, and red over his right shoulder, which are the colors associated directly with the light in the underworld. It is white literally and red symbolically as a slain lamb in a black void. The man standing then represents the underworld in terms of singular timeless state, that is the third day. The man with his arms outstretched like the scroll that unfurls also refers to expansionism by his gesture. In other words, he pulls it out and it just goes infinite. God remains unseen with his back to us. Looking on, though superficially, the group may be taken to be even Christ and his apostles. From the three comes a fourth product, a link between infinite consciousness and the finite cosmos. Juan Mascaro, in his introduction to the Upanishads, states that in one of the latest songs of the Vedas, the song to Purusha, we find that the God is described in words that reminds us of Brahman of Upanishads. Purusha is the whole universe, what had been and what is going to be. 1/4 of him is all beings. 3/4 of him is immortal heaven. 3/4 refers to the three infinities of God, thrice great, and 1/4 is the Christ, or a creative principle, the light that emerges as their product and consequences. It may seem bizarre to any Christian to find the same instructions from the Upanishads concerning the fundamental nature of reality as we find in the Gospel of John, which states in its opening remarks, being John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Think about that. When there's even a candle in a room, darkness cannot put that candle out. You see, the light itself has so much impact upon darkness that darkness cannot put light out. It's the opposite. The light actually dispels darkness, you see. In this statement are the three infinite states of God's transcendental unity with one addition in direct association to all three. The Word of God is the truth, and the Christ, his son or divine child, is the truth with flesh, as Robert Lawler reiterates in his book on sacred geometry. Christ is the Word made flesh. The Word is the English translation of the Greek logos, which is defined as a continuous proportion in which the seemingly irreconcilable extreme terms are bound or interrelated by a single mean term, A, B, with colons, B, C. Christ as Logos links the extreme terms of spirit and matter, universal and individual, infinite and finite. See, these are directly what we call duality. He's talking about spirit and matter. He's talking about universal and individual. He's talking about infinite and finite. So he's dealing what we call, in some ways, talking about this whole deal being duality. You see, all it is all everything, so to speak. In this In this quote, we find the concept of Christ as the perfection between spirit and energy, the link that defines physical manifestation from the realm of spirit concerning a physical proportion known as the golden mean that sits between the infinite expanse and the infiniteness, infiniteness as their defining middle or perfect balance. The Christ then is the creator principle that manifests the truth of God's will from the realm of spirit into the physical cosmos. For the gospel then states that through him all things were made. The gospel next couples the creator principle to the human being by stating it in the source of life and the light of all mankind. The gospel is thus stating categorically that the Christ or Word of God is the light that illuminates humanity, the light of illumination itself, as well as that which creates all things in the physical cosmos, as the creator or creative principle, the Alpha and Omega, or cause and results of manifestation from the cosmic scalar field ocean. Not only does John's gospel informs us that the true Son of God is a light and not a person, but it also states the condition of his existence. Interesting. We see this is where Christianity has made an error. You see, the true Son of God is a light. It is not a person. You see, but it also states the condition of existence. Here it is. The light shines, just like we said earlier, it shines in the darkness, and the darkness has never not overcome it. It cannot. It cannot. The nature of the expansion into the void condition is referred to in ancient texts, such as those concerning Vishnu and Jesus, as going through the eye of a needle. No selfish or wealthy person can enter the state because it takes to become selfless to meet God in the first place. Light, L-I-K-E, attracts light in this sense. That is why we attract God to us by becoming transformed in life from selfish children of the devil, that is, creator, to selfless children of God or angels. We turn ourselves inside out, effectively from a singularity in our head all the way out to become one with the infinite outer space condition while merging with its reality. The abyss contains the finite cosmos as a grain-like focus awareness looking out into the eternal black void. So we become one with not only infinite space, but the cosmos in that infinite space, you see. This is why we are a point-like cosmic awareness in the expanse, even though our new expanded body has become the infinite abyss. The outer space becomes the underworld for us, whereas it was simply outer space before, and our awareness was inside our own head. It is not our awareness itself as a pointed focused entity that expands to infinity. We ride the infinite expansion of our new spirit body to become the cosmos as a grain in the infinite void, retaining our focus of awareness. The underworld is expanded consciousness, becoming one with the outer abyss of space, otherwise known as the mental plane. This means that anything we think of will appear outside of us in the underworld space, whereas before, while in the body, whatever we thought of appears inside our mind normally. It's because we have turned ourselves inside out and expanded to become one with the infinite expanse or abyss, that things now appear on the outside. This does not continue when we return to the body because the physical reality is indifferent and automatic. We cannot produce things physically at will after this event. Then we return to a normal physical condition to live out our lives as normal. Logically, then anyone who hangs around in the underworld condition after usual death may think they are experiencing physical reality again if they reproduce their familiar surroundings from the life out of a natural expectation, because anything we think while in this state will appear in front of us automatically and be or do what we want it to be or do. There may even be a consensus reality in the underworld that is already extant due to those who are in it. We could fly around over a planet for instance, seemingly free from gravity, or make a house just by thinking it into being. From all accounts and purposes, though, we may take those we meet in this circumstance as genuine others who are not as unreal as our recreated surroundings. However, we need to recognize that this underworld form of invented reality is not real in the sense that it cannot teach us anything. It is not the firm teacher of indifferent cosmic reality that we must learn from to find the definition of ineffable selves and return to dimensionless heaven. Therefore, we must return to incarnation from the underworld in order to ascend from it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. We arrive in the underworld already looking outward into the void with the cosmos as our now expanded awareness, as if the cosmic birth is our focus awareness. The cosmos has effectively disappeared to us because we have become it. So when we turn around, we see the Creator's light by itself, since the light is of a spiritual nature as well as a physical one and can be seen by us in this state. And what he's talking about is what took place with his pineal gland. Because it is the light within your own brain. A useful depreciation of this relationship is the yin and yang symbol as the union of the cosmos and all prevailing cosmic abyss. A galactic black hole is a timeless zone in the cosmos, which shares the same condition as the singular nature of the underworld on the outside of the cosmos, assessed by a living, rational being. The small, bright dot in the underworld depicted in the graphic perceiving the cloud nearby is our fully expanded state as we find the beginning or end of time and the timeless state between the production of the light and the subsequently production of the cosmos. Looking at the scenario of ascension in the fully expanded state shown above, we can see the entirety of the existence encapsulated in a single moment. The cosmos is the egg, shown on the left from Ishar Bentol model at the end of the cloud's right arm to show knowledge of the cosmic cycle. From a timeless point of view, the cosmos is shown from the beginning to the end of its breathing pattern, as at every moment it is never-ending cascading life cycle. It is present all at once as a great cosmic egg. If we apply the cyclical process to the cosmos, we find the possibility that it may be cascading from one into another endlessly, as suggested by having a eternal creative principle in the first place. In Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita concerning Brahman that, quote, those who have seen the boundary between these two, quote, not quote, but in brackets, the abyss between dimensionless heaven and physical hell, have reached the end of knowledge. Suggests we have reached the point where we can understand the cycle and manifestation behind the cosmos. In other words, it is all simply the same cycle repeating itself over and over again at every scale from the Planck link to the outermost reaches of the cosmos expansion. And once we understand this cycle, we have understood the cosmos itself. The same cycle must appear then within the cosmos. In fact, it should be the basis of it at the smallest level, the Planck link, like a super string. Let's see if I can show you that picture here. See if I can find it in here. So what he's showing is this photo here. Comparing the dual relationship of the cosmic cycling egg at the end of the right arm of the light and creator, it follows that we should find correspondent venerations throughout history, if this concept has been known before. One look at the Christian canon confirms this premise immediately with many more traditional ideas that follow in quick successions, highlighting the relationship between the heart and mind of the cosmic being, Brahman. And these are, I'm going to show this right quick for you too. So he's going to show you, these are examples of, other literature. And one is actually reflecting what has happened to him in this particular one here. Okay. On the left is the classic serpent wisdom motif. His head could be simply interpreted as the sun, but knowing of illumination also tells us the deeper issue of the human psyche that sees the birth of the true Son of God. Quote, the serpent head is illuminated as the sun rises to its highest point in its arc, where it is eclipsed by the moon, which bleeds like a lamb. Its body is curled up to show a single cycle comprised of a dual cycle, that is, in brackets, energy mechanics / psychic mechanics, that starts and ends at singularity. On the far right is one of Leonardo da Vinci's Christ paintings in this version, painted by other artists also. Christ is seen holding a globe in his left hand at a lower position around the heart area. He's got the whole world in his hand. His cosmic blue ocean tunic is crossed with gold as the fixed center, astrologically personified by the four creatures of the tree of life, the man being Aquarius, the bull being Taurus, the lion being Leo, and the ego being Scorpio. The four are now one, and this is ascension with Atman, that is the true self, into union with Brahman and cosmic awareness. The Egyptian bark of Ra on the right, you'll look at it here real quick, its top is quote unquote upside down with the cosmic egg-like cycle shown as a person's body wrapped around in a circle from head to foot. Their arms and hair reach towards the bark as the two beams from its front protrudes towards you when you see it first. The bark has 10 figures sailing in it, because the tree of life, in its completed form, has 10 points or sephiral. A Dunbar rolling scabbard beetle representing sunrise, in brackets cosmic awareness, aspires towards the cosmic egg in line with the hair and arms of the cosmic god. The goddess Nun, or Nut, meaning sky, is holding up the bark, telling us the bark, that is light, is held in the limitless sky of the cosmic abyss, along with the cosmic womb, the egg that effectively bursts it, while being produced by it at the same time. His orb is the heart of the cosmic cycle. His hand gesture, that is the Mudra, is the prana mudra of light, said to increase the flow of prana energy in the body for a healthy immune system, and his head is illuminated from this top. His appearance is feminine to also highlight the fact that the mother of Jesus was there, that is, in the marriage at Canaan, since the child is the diamond of the female cosmos that walks on water before climbing into a boat. Mary Magdalene holds an egg in the next painting. Let's see if I can show you this here. So this is going to be on the left-hand side here. Well, actually on the right-hand side here. And then you have these when he was just explaining this, getting in the boat. So Mary Magdalene holds an egg in the next painting below, symbolizing the egg/light relationship while standing in front of a backdrop of black. white and red. She is often shown holding a red Easter egg to symbolize the slain lamb in association with the birth of the light, that is Christ, the great architect of the universe, shown on the right overlooking the cosmic form as its creator. To represent the entire process of creation from beginning to end, the Christian tradition has established a very potent symbolic reference in the Black Madonna and Child as the cosmic womb from which the divine child, or diamond, as her own perfection, being light, is generated. The mother and child motif then commemorates Brahman in its reproduction sense. God is inferred in the child, since without God there would be no child. If that were the case, in reality there should be no cosmos either. Yet, as we know, the cosmos is necessary for generating the condition of heaven in the first place. Since God is thrice great, the Nag-Hammadi scroll calls on the origins of the world explains how God is also a Trinity. Quote, the Holy One said to him, that is Bartholomew, I want you to know that first man is called Begetter, Begetter, self-perfected mind. And then being in brackets, being God, being Amen. He reflected with great Sophia, being the mother, his consort, and revealed his first begotten androgynous, neither male or female, son. His male name is this designated first begetter, son of God. His female name, first begetters, Sophia, mother of the universe. Some call her love. Now first begotten is called Christ. The Madonna and Child appreciation has been expressed throughout cultural history in a variety of personifications, such as Ishtar, Sophia, and Yaldabaoth. Semiramis with Tammuz, Hathor and her son Ik, and Isis with Horus, or Mary with Jesus in a later Christian tradition. She is the beginning and the end of all things as her child, the savior of the world, because it appears when a person finds the truth, proved it, and now stands firmly on its established ground. She is the first aeon, the ocean of chaos and its cosmos, right through creation to the feminine aspect of the physical psyche and separate spirit consciousness, seeking gnosis of the whole self. As a divine trinity, these three represent the basis of creation as a single process that loops from God through the womb of a divine mother as the universe and its contents back to God in reunification. Since all three identities are eternal, they coexist simultaneously. This means that the light is the priority to form physical matter at its creator, since it is born of energy and in God's spirit. It stands before the material world, yet it is the result of it at the same time. It is timeless and eternal. Physical, unlike God's true and ineffable spirit, it is therefore the link between heaven and earth. Let's see if I can show you that picture here also. I hope you can see it. I hope I'm raising the right place. In this 15th century Renaissance painting, this will be below, by Domenico Ghirlandaio from 1449 to 1494, Divine Mother, Madonna / Sophia, is being shown as a separate form and looking at her child, while a man and a dog stand on the edge of a great ocean looking up towards a black boat in the sky, whose oars shine like the sun to the right-hand side. I'll show you that right now. I hope you can see this. It's going to be really hard because the boat is really small here, but he does magnify it here with this. So there is a boat in the sky with oars shine like the sun to the right-hand side. One is near, the other far, since finding the truth pulls your perspective back further to a singular state. The two issues on either side of the painting are the same issue expressed differently. To highlight the union of the dual psyche with the birth of the light, depicted as a sunboat in the sky. On the left, we have the Divine Mother and Child in the same situation as you when you experienced the pineal cloud. The mother is looking at the child as if she is us looking at the cloud that she has made. The man on the right is looking up to the boat, far away. If you see him near the ocean here, the water. That is eclipse high sun in the same sense as the pineal cloud, now a boat whose oars are its beams of light. The man is pointing to his own head to emphasize this situation is in the head. In other words, it takes place up here. Ra. The waters he stands before represents the waters of chaos or abyss, in which the boat exists at the top of the axis mundi. After the great flood from the individual, the Madonna and Child are in a boat, you see. So it comes back again showing them where they're at. In other words, they show the boat, and then he shows this whole thing with them being in the boat at a close range, showing this whole thing, what's happening. Or arc, themselves as the cosmos and its product. The mask in the boat is symbolically calling from the navel of the Divine Child as a new tree. In relationship, the light in the sky is the creator light. This painting seems to represent the foundational nature of creation and reality, along with the third eye opening event of illumination known as Ascension. A further observation concerning the man and his dog in the painting points us directly to the first and last tarot card known as the Fool, since it also shows a man with a dog at his feet. As the first card of the major arcana, the Fool shows every person at the start of the great work, since we must turn our attention in on ourselves and become critical in our thinking to begin with. We must admit to ourselves that we are fools. This self-honesty is truly the beginning of such an endeavor. At the last card of the major arcana, the Fool also secretly represents the imagery of a liberated soul by alluding to Cyrus and Orion as commemorating the event. The Fool is now looking at the cloud as the sun rises in liberation, shown behind him in a white light of the cloud. The great wave from the ocean of chaos behind him has left the boat at the mountaintop. The dog is there to highlight the relationship between Sirius, that is the dog star, and Orion, the constellation nearby, that represents the cloud throughout the ancient world. Imagine yourself at a point singularity in the underworld as Sirius is in the blackness of space, gazing towards Orion in the near distance, mimicking the state of gazing at the cloud. The Fool also stands in the pose denoting the letter Aleph, meaning A in Hebrew, highlighting the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end of the alphabet. The pineal light has the true form as a pillar of cloud with a similar shape to a pyramid on its side, whose top is a flat square, as if the pyramid has its capstone missing. Obviously, it is us who look on at that cloud from this position as its capstone when we see it. And yet, when depicted in the famous dollar bill, the pyramid capstone is shown as the pineal light and not us. This duality of interpretation causes no end of confusion in those who have wished to understand its true meaning or message. The relative positions of this relationship are interchangeable. The pyramid with a single eye on the left below is from an ancient cave found in Ecuador, that is in South America. proving this concept is ancient and prolific the world over. It shows a stone carved pyramid with the same depreciation as a dollar bill Freemasonic pyramid. This means the depreciation shows not only the concept of doing the great work in building a metaphorical pyramid of understanding that leads to the light at the top, but also its proper result in gaining the gold and silver keys of heaven as the capstone, culminating in the event with the cloud, making us the cloud capstone and all-seeing eye of spiritual wisdom. The event is illumination in the single most commemorable event in human history. I'll show you this real quick here. It's the one here. In this painting by Carlo Crivella, we see a depiction of the announced Annunciation where Mary receives the Holy Spirit and conceives a divine child. This issue concerns any person who receives the spirit of their own true self as God, that is, the Holy Spirit. Mary's child as creator is the pineal cloud of light in the sky, painted as a triple layer cloud triad. The beam coming from the cloud is the fourth golden issue concerning the Son of God from God Thrice Great. The Holy Spirit is here, repeated as a dove, in conjunction with the illumination process that starts with God's Spirit merging with the individual. Annunciation, then, is a New Testament representation of gaining the keys to heaven. We meet God and receive the Holy Spirit as the first key, then find Ascension as the second key. So here it is here. You can see this again. It's kind of tough to see. This is not completely a big picture like the other ones, or somewhat bigger. And there's a lot showing here also. It is plain to see that there are two halves to Annunciation painting. You see, as if a vertical line exists between the left and right sides of the picture to represent the two functions of the brain/mind that can focus in on detail and stand back to see the whole picture. On the right, we can see the tree of life, whose two pillars sit on either side of the Virgin, as if she is the center pillar of consciousness. In this sense, the dove above her head with his projected golden beams is the light at the top of the tree. On the left, we see a distant scene that has a vanishing point in a small square. The cloud in the sky is the product of the Annunciation and is there as the creator. The single golden beam shines through an arch shape in the wall, the art of the daily solar passages, to highlight the completed house of bread. The peacock above is showing off its tail, confirming the Renaissance as a period in history that saw the revival of alchemy, hermetic principle of self-knowledge or gnosis. So I'm going to show you this picture again so you can see if you can see it a little bit better here as I get a little bit closer. So these people back in the 14th, 15th century were already aware of these things. And they were producing these things by using art. When we look at the Ascension of the Virgin by the Renaissance painter Tintin, Titan, in 1515, we can see appreciation of the totality of God and creation. At the lower level of the painting are the apostles depicting the physical realm, that is the cosmos. In the middle, we see Mary wrapped in a cloud, the cloud of her son in the underworld between earth and heaven. And at the top, we can see a depreciation of God as dimensionless heaven or polaronium, framed by the arch of the completed house of bread in reference to the sun's arc as it defines the hero's journey to the truth. This is, I think I posted this before, but we'll show you again. You can see that. You can see this. You can see three tiers here again in this painting. You see. Heaven slash polonium, that would be the sign here, what we call the tarot cards on the front here of the card section here. So that's the thing right here above him. Dimensionless. He goes on to explain simply as this singular. There is unity, there's wholeness, there's perfection, it is eternal, it is rest, and is freedom. Continues on. I don't think he shows this picture. Yes, he does, but it's hard to see here, so I'll just go ahead and list it. The scalar field, which again shows the infinite structure, the infinite thing above him, which is the mental plane, shows absolute, certainty, constant, immortal, stillness, timeless, eternal, rest, cold, order, and singular slash dual. The pineal light exists in mind space, expanded to infinity when singularity nature is understood. Anything can be created here at will, and yet we cannot develop from our inventions. We must enter cosmic space to develop to a heavenly perfection. And he talks about what they call the tensor field, which is a finite physical plane, which is relative, uncertain, variable, mortal, process, motion, action, time, transit, heat, chaos, finite, dual slash singular. And it says here, cosmic space contains the automatic creation governed by the pineal light as creative principle. We have no choice but to experience the indifference, indifferent manifest truth here, which develops us towards heavenly perfection. In Hinduism, God is Krishna as the Trinity of Vishnu, Shiva and Brahman. Shiva consciousness is paired with Shakti, who is the energy that becomes the matter of the universe. As a male and female couple in an eternal dance, their progeny is a child of light who grows from Vishnu's navel as the lotus flower, the greatest product of manifestation. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord Krishna converses with the human Arjuna as his charioteer on a battlefield that represents the battle and a psyche of every creature while they live as an ego in contrast to the truth beyond it. From Wikipedia, quote, Brahman connotates the highest universal principle, the ultimate reality in the universe. In major schools of Hindu philosophy, it is the material, the efficient, formal, and final cause of all that exists. It is the pervasive, generalist, infinite, eternal truth and bliss, which does not change, yet is the cause of all changes. Brahman, as a metaphysical concept, is the single binding unity behind diversity and all that exists in the universe. When Brahman is identified as the cosmic man, he comes as no surprise when we hear the words of Krishna concerning Brahman and his whereabouts in the underworld between heaven and matter. The impermanent has no reality. Reality lies in the eternal. Those who have seen the boundaries between these two have attained the end of all knowledge. Chapter under self-realization. The process of offering is Brahman. That which is offered is Brahman. Brahman offers the sacrifice in the fire of Brahman. Brahman is attained by those who seek Brahman in every action. These offerings are born of work, and each guides mankind along a path to Brahman. Understanding this, you will attain liberation. The offerings of wisdom is better than any material offering. Arjuna, the goal of all work is spiritual wisdom. Approach those who have realized the purpose of life and question them with reverence and devotion. They will instruct you in the wisdom. Once you attained it, you will never again be deluded. You will see all creatures to the self. Sorry, you will see all creatures in the self and all in me. Another chapter here called the wisdom, coming from the chapter called Wisdom in Action. Quote, my highest nature, the imperishable Brahman, gives every creature its existence and lives, in every creature creative as the Adhatan. Sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce that. My action is, I'll spell it Adhyatma. My action is creation and the beginning forth of creatures. And again, that word again, Habadul, is the perishable body. It's the Purusha, the eternal spirit. And the Akhigan, I'm sorry, I just butchered it. The supreme sacrifice is made to me as the Lord within you. We go into the next area where it says eternal Godhead. Notice the word ahilajolio containing the word agion, which means wisdom, or as wisdom means Sophia, pertaining to the wisdom center in the head associated with the pineal gland. It is here that we sacrifice our lamb to God. So all these things we're talking about, we go back in the Old Testament, we hear that the Israelites, or the Jews, or Israelites, whichever you want to call it, are sacrificing a lamb to God. And we're looking at it on the outside, meaning altar and all that type of thing in our minds and how we've been programmed in that way, when in reality that's not true. It's on our mountain, like Abraham, allowing us access to God's Son, the slain lamb, or Yabal, or the underworld. And that is the conclusion of chapter 4. So we'll get to chapter 5, probably not tonight, because it's getting late. But I wanted to get, like I said, just share this information. Just some good information from Phil Langdon. He has done, he's revealing what's happened to him. He's revealing what happened to him when he went to Cambodia in 2014. He never planned to go there. If you haven't watched the other videos, I'll just share a little story, is that he never planned to go to Cambodia. He went to Thailand with his girlfriend, and he was going to show her what he used to do and where he went and places where he was at. And he played in a band. He was a drummer, and he wanted, basically, the guy said, look, I'm going to do some things for the next 3 months, and would you like to be the drummer of this band and basically get paid? You get paid to do that, and could be here for 3 months. In other words, you pay your way as you go. In other words, you didn't have to spend money out of his pocket, so to speak. Well, that was okay. The problem was simply is that the guy never showed back up. In other words, he never came back. And I think he told me it was approximately, I think, close to a year. And he realized he needed to get out of the country because this was not what he wanted to do. He was just doing that for, just to be in that environment or be in Thailand. And so that was the reason why he came back there, to show his girlfriend what he used to do. And his girlfriend's mother told him to go to a particular temple in Cambodia. And it's called Angkor Wat, W-A-T. And so he never had plans to really even go there. And it was almost the end of the trip type of thing. I think they were there 2 weeks, maybe, or close to that. So they decided to go there. And that's where the event took place in his life. Obviously, it was not, he didn't plan to do this at all. That was never in his intentions. So God worked through that whole situation. So, but anyway, just wish you a good night, folks. Thank you for listening again. This is from the book, Ascension by Philip Langdon, who lives in London, England. I just want to share this with others because I believe that this is the most important thing we could be involved in. So few of us know what's really going on and what we're here for. And my hope is that some of you will see this and begin to realize, there's a purpose here. And you need to look into these things if you want to do this. And so there's someone who's sharing this information. So that's why I'm sharing with you, because I feel like it's very important. So at this conclusion, I wish you a good night or a good day. And we've gone through 4 chapters, and we'll be going through the 5th chapter next day or two and sharing that information from his book, Ascension. By the way, you can buy these books if you want to, but there's also, Phil, also, if you go to his site, it's not on Facebook, it would be on YouTube with his name, Philip Langdon. And then what you would do is simply, there's each video, you can download the book to your computer and read it yourself. Okay. All right. We'll let you be. And you, again, like I said, have a great day and take care. And we'll be with you again. All right. Bye-bye.